Hey, it's Carrie. I'm here again, giving you my next update. I'm back to week 2, my second Monday working out this thing. This is post number 5. And just documenting my Airbnb empire build. And I have to say, there's just shifts going on in my mind, in my head. I've been just trying to gather a lot of information, meet a lot of people, figure out what I need to figure out, dive in, do a little bit of digging, do calculations, ask people for references, who they work with, who they recommend. And like, there's just a lot of people out there that are just good-hearted, they want to help. And I'm feeling pretty good today. I still don't know my numbers, which makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I am a numbers person, but I found that I am also, more than anything, very prone to analysis paralysis, so I'm not going to worry about the fact that I don't know everything right now, and it's going to be okay. So I am feeling pretty good that we've got decent numbers in terms of just getting a loan. I talked to a lender this morning, the first person that I've talked to about a loan, and I kind of came away with this sense like, okay, we're honing in a little bit. Like, I can get going, I can get this thing pre-approved, and I can go out and shop with confidence, figure out really what I actually can afford. But it's one thing to know what the bank says you can afford, and it's another thing to live your own life and make your decisions about what you need to get to where you want to go. And this Airbnb thing is just one block in terms of getting to where I want to go financially. So getting clear on that is pretty important. I basically, my goal here is that within the next year and a half, I might be able to get to like a $35,000 a year of income. I don't quite know how to scale to that. I just have the sense of I need to get things started, and that people do this all the time. So there's got to be a way. That's kind of where I'm at. So that's probably a good thing that I'm still kind of foggy but still moving forward, because it's really not, I tend to get caught up in other parts of things. Like, I tend to just not even start things because I want to know it all before I jump in. But that's a little bit about me, my personality, where I'm at in terms of my progress towards the goal to launch the first Airbnb. Helps me also just to be able to say that out loud and realize what else I need to know. I'm filling up my book. I'm meeting with people. It's been good. Tomorrow I have several meetings, and we'll kind of expand my circles a little bit bigger. But people are doing this. It's not rocket science, and I'm excited. People that love me are excited for me, so that's really, really helpful. Met with a real estate agent friend who's not actively doing the real estate part right now on Friday, and she also just gave me a few tidbits about what the market's doing in this area and what I can expect when we're making offers and that sort of thing. So I figure it's just a numbers game. I need to make a certain number of analyses before I'll know what is a good deal. I'm going to have to make a certain number of contacts before I can, find a deal that I want to put a bid in on. I'm going to have to do a certain number of bids before we get a property, and that's just the way it's going to go. So I'm still super motivated to do it sooner rather than later, so here we go. Okay, that was a little weird. So I'm sitting at my local Starbucks. I have to get on a call pretty soon, and I just thought, right now I'm working on some education stuff where I'm working through bigger bigger pockets. And they have like a boot camp that's online once a week for an hour for 8 weeks to get people who are new to things really tooled up, so they can know the basics. And that's what I'm doing. So I got to do kind of my homework today. My next class is tomorrow. So much going on tomorrow. It's gonna be a crazy day. And my two kids who are in school are finishing up their last week of school before the summer's out. So I'm looking forward to, just supporting them and being with them through kind of the fun parts of last day. I'm really glad that I get to do that. Like, to schedule my own time is pretty luxurious. To not be beholden to other people's needs is just really great feeling. Like, I loved where I worked before, but there's nothing quite like just being in control of your own stuff. So anyway, I thought I would spend like maybe 5 minutes just talking a little bit about why I decided to go with AirBnB as sort of my business that I want to start up. I'm still dive a little bit deeper so you can get to know me and figure out kind of what makes me tick. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of different ways you can go about making money. People do like investing in the stock market. People do gigs where they're just like churning out whatever earrings and selling them on Etsy. There's so many different options, but for me, Airbnb has always been part of what I do, so I'm familiar with it. It's comfortable. We do it all the time in terms of when we're going somewhere on vacation, or if I'm going out of town to like spend a couple days planning, like an annual planning retreat, or done it before where I'm like meeting up with friends. When my husband was in grad school, a group of us get together once a year. We'll do Airbnbs for that sort of thing. So I probably rented 50 of them or something over the years. Kind of an early adopter. Love the idea that you're really private. You get to kind of create your second home away from home, and coming and going is up to you. That sense of freedom again. But I just am a huge believer in just respite and time away and getting clarity from things when you are able to be in the right place. And even when my husband, his name is Chris, and I were dating, we would go, before Airbnb was a thing, there were bed and breakfasts around the town where we were in college, and we'd just go there to do our homework. It's just the atmosphere of being in a home that is hospitable. It just the atmosphere I want to be in. It's like, I think I grew up in a home that I didn't always feel like it was designed to have me in it. And by that, I mean, like, there were just things sitting on the couch. Sometimes I'd come home from school and like there's no place for me to sit, or nobody said, "Hey, good to see you," but come back in and here's a snack for you. It's just sort of like I came to a building where there was shelter and it was safe for sure. My family loved me, but it was not like welcoming in terms of like the architecture of it, like that whole like, here is a place for you. I never really felt that way. And I actually, when I was about 13, I went in and I to the room that I had, and like my mom had expanded the attic space and put an extra bedroom in the house when I was pretty young, like maybe 10, and I just had these like sheetrock walls, and that was it. And I was like, okay, here's some old furniture, let's stick it in here and you can live here, we got the carpet. I remember, like, specifically 7th grade, just deciding I'm going to have a vision for this space and make it be a place where I can feel like I can really relax, not just sleep, but like do my homework in kind of a cool atmosphere that makes me happy. And I did that, and it felt so awesome to have something that was my style, my space, you know, my zone. I could get stuff done. I could have friends in there. I'd want to be there. And it was like such a game changer for me. It's just so formative. And so I've always kind of done that with spaces. I was able to do that in my office space in my previous career, like a couple of times we had to renovate or do building projects or update places that we moved into for long-term leases, and I got to be in charge of that sort of thing. Design is in my background, so I've always done like graphic design, layout. I have an art degree, so I have sort of the skill set for sure. But this whole thing about respite, I have just been so desperate for respite on so many occasions in my life, and that's where I feel like that sense of knowing what it feels like, knowing the difference that it can make between being in a place that, like, yeah, it's 4 walls versus being a place that is homey and restful and welcoming. It's, 100% difference, hot to cold. And that is why Airbnb, I think, draws me, because that's what it's all about. It's all about hosting and creating space that is gracious and loving. And like, you can do that even with strangers. You can do that in your attitude. You can do that in your language. You can do that the way that you talk to people and the way that you present even just like what you're wearing, So I think this is why Airbnb seems like a good fit. I mean, of course, it's profitable. Like, that's the other big part of it. It needs to be profitable, but it also just really aligns with kind of the things that have made a difference for me. I've been required to optimize my time and energy, like my whole adult life, because I have 4 kids. My husband's a pastor. I have to work full time to make ends meet, and my oldest has special needs. Like, respite is critical. As soon as I am overwhelmed, I can't make decisions. I start to be grumpy. I can't get anything done. It's just like the level of stress that happens when you have somebody that you care for whose life is on the line for you. They're 23 years old and they're going to be needing you forever. It's like something that most people can't even like dial into. What is that like? People ask me all the time. And I mean, I love it because I love my kid, right? So I usually just kind of come back with that, because the last thing I want is somebody to feel like pity for me. But it goes deeper than that. I mean, there is a certain level of a stress load that happens all the time because the stakes are so high. And I want to get into that in another day, kind of more about Evan and what his needs are and how much I love him. His diagnosis and that sort of thing. But I think my whole point is, like, because of the life that I live and the needs that I have, and like, it makes my eyes far more open to the reality than I think the average Joe. And I think that's why Airbnb and short-term rentals is like the best fit for me, because when I needed to get something done, that was the environment I needed to get it done in, and really hardly any other thing would do. And I don't mean like just go to Airbnb and book it and make the platform, but create the space in the corner of your house if you don't have any money. You don't even have to buy anything. Sometimes it's just like, take the blanket from this room and the pillow from that room, put it in the chair that you love, that's the most comfortable, put the light that you prefer there, and close the door. I mean, space makes or breaks something. It just does. And so I believe in it. I've done it a gazillion times, and out of all the ways that you can make money in the world, this is a good one. A lot of people do it. There's a lot of tax advantages to it. I haven't even started to scratch the surface on it. I did some reading on it a while ago, and I mean, but there's a lot of ways you can make money with home gigs, you know. This is just one that fits me super well. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if what I said like resonates with you, or if you're just like confused by anything or have questions, because I want this to be interactive. So give me some feedback. Like me, subscribe to me, but most importantly, you build something awesome.